Okay, thank you very much. Of course, the central bank will say or will argue that actually what guides their actions is the state of the economy, what is happening. Can we hear from Honorable Norbert Mao, now that Kasita has told us what the solutions are? In just 5 minutes, someone is asking whether you're going to walk.
It tempts one to launch into a proper tirade. I will just make general statements which are not so much elaborated. This inflation, which we are talking about, everybody knows the cause. What we don't seem to agree on is the solution. I'm not an economist, but what I know is that it said inflation means too much money chasing too few goods. So common sense then dictates that since money has lost relative value, you can deal with inflation by either reducing money supply or you increase the supply of goods. Either way, your goal is simply to adjust prices. What is the role of government? In this forum, we should say the role of government is to do the things which the private sector does not do. Now, since the structural adjustment program, government has been coerced to say it has no business being in business. As an example, they privatize UEB, but they bring ESCOM, which is another government enterprise from South Africa, to run our UEB. And they are saying we have divested. Government should be doing big projects that are long-term. The massive highways, the big bridges, the kind of Kasombo dams, not this 25 megawatt that the Prime Minister launched the other day. The 25 megawatts should be launched in Chihihi by simple businessmen coming together in Nyagak, Aru Falls. It should be done by a conglomeration of small people. So our government has retreated into managing a supermarket as if it is a kiosk. Secondly, it is those big projects which create employment. America is responding to inflation and unemployment by implementing a program called shovel-ready projects. If you drive across America, everywhere, they're digging up roads, laying pipes, so as to suck this unnecessary manpower. Now, the Uganda government, in order to stave off this walk to work, they went to Ndeba carpentry workshop and said, what is your problem? Don't follow these people who are saying walk to work. Here is 200 million, you are sorted. Of course, the leaders steal 150 million. Then the 50 million left is given to the younger junior people. And in 5 days, they are hungry again. So the solution being applied is just band-aid. The government is just putting bandages on a festering wound. The government is treating a disease that it understands, but it is like treating a cancer using Vaseline. The second thing is bank supervision. I have been surprised to find that the most profitable international banks operate in Africa. Every time I look at the bank statement of Standard Chartered Bank, I see that a lot of the money is made from here, but the shareholders are not from here. So the money is taking off. And in an economy like Uganda's, we now have to ask the question, why has Kenya not suffered as much as Uganda? It is also an African economy. I have been trying to reflect on it and have concluded that our key sectors are not nationally owned. President Museveni in 1986 pledged an integrated, self-sustaining national economy. Now the economy is not self-sustaining, it is not national, and it is not even integrated. Let's look at the 5 key sectors. In banking, who are the top players? Is there any Ugandan player? There's this Banyakigezi Bank called the National Bank of Commerce. It is not even a player. The key players in the financial sector are foreign owned. So we have a tourism sector. The top hotels, are they Ugandan hotels? Then you go to the top construction companies. Are they even Ugandan companies? Every sector, even supermarkets, consumer chains, they are not Ugandan. So in other words, our economy is like a big tree producing good succulent fruits, but the fruits are falling across the fence. But the tree is growing here. We are the ones watering it. We are the ones weeding it. It is even occupying our space, but the fruits are falling outside our compound. And then they come back with the fruits and say, we are donating to you fruits. And we are supposed to cheer. Let me conclude, Mr. Chairman. I had not prepared a paper, but in future, if my views are wanted in detail, I may be invited, but I would love to sit together with the governor of the Bank of Uganda. I conclude as follows. I agree with the suggestion that there is a cult of mediocrity in this country. We celebrate mediocres to take charge. If you went to a hospital, you would want the best surgeon. Then how come that we are not getting the best people to tackle these issues? Now, the cult of mediocrity is based on this patronage system, nepotism, where people who are thoroughly incompetent are being offloaded on our people. We have experts who have no ethics. They speak out of both corners of their mouth. I talk to this Bank of Uganda people. When they are talking to you in the corridor, they say, I was talking bullshit out there, just because I don't want the president to get annoyed and to throw me out. But the truth is, you people are right. I'm sure even Mr. Issa Sekito has talked to these people privately, and I'm sure some of them are even encouraging you to proceed, because they know your pressure will relieve them of the other political pressure. My second conclusion, we don't have a financial meltdown in Uganda. What we have is a moral meltdown. The truth is, we are celebrating ill-gotten wealth. This leadership code, people are not declaring everything. But I want to say today that it is time for properties to start declaring their owners. I call upon, if their owners are not declaring them, then let the properties start speaking out. I call upon journalists to start moving around this country and ask the houses, who owns you? So that the houses can speak and say, I belong to so and so. That's the only way people are going to start looking at people's cash flow. When I was in Parliament, I went and photocopied all of Jim Muhwezi's land titles and took it to Parliament. I didn't have to get bank statements. I brought land titles, and it was a big heap. And I said, Mulwana sells batteries. Bill Gates sells computer software. Mukwano sells soap and cooking oil. What does Jim Muhwezi sell? Because you must have some source of money. My third conclusion, since this is said to be a political problem by Godba, then what is the political solution? In one sentence, we need a new consensus in this country. Governance is about consensus. Whether you are NRM, FDC, DP, or whatever, we must have some common denominator which brings us together. When there was an economic crisis in America, Bush did not call Republicans for a retreat in Texas. He called Obama, he called Hillary Clinton, he called everybody who is likely to shape opinion, whether they agree with him or not, and said, let's talk. Obama left his campaign, McCain left the campaign, they met in the White House. Here, they are calling only cronies to Chankwanzi to panel beat them and give them anesthesia, so that they pretend that they are not feeling the pain, yet they are really feeling the pain. So the president is showing the highest level of irresponsibility by making this is a political issue, but it is not a partisan issue. There's a difference between something being political and something being partisan. Now, I challenge the elites of Uganda not to retreat from the arena of that politics. I'm not saying you should run for election, but I'm saying you need to take a stand. By the way, when you take a stand, you are very safe, because that means people must sort themselves out vis-a-vis your stand. And it means you are no longer being a crony. If tomorrow Aisha Kabanda stood up and said, it is unacceptable that our people use our AK-47s to kill people who are unarmed, no matter what they're doing, whether they are throwing stones, under what circumstances should a person take human life? Should it be like when Ofono Pondo shot dead somebody who had stolen an indicator of 30,000 shillings? Is that a justification for taking human life? If Aisha Kabanda said that, they will probably denounce her, but they will then be sorting themselves out vis-a-vis your stand. That's why Kano Besige's announcement in 2000 was a revolutionary statement in the heart of NRM. He took a stand, and the NRM is now sorting itself out vis-a-vis his stand. And that has defined our politics for some time now. The elites, including the political elite, we have also abandoned the politics to the riffraff, in quotes. Those who may not be well guided. I think many times, even we, the opposition leaders, instead of leading our followers, we sort of ask them, we are behaving like Pilato, saying, what do we do with this man? Then a criminal is set free, an innocent person is hanged, because the crowd has said, crucify him, we want Barnabas. They are using technicalities of the holiday to release a criminal. In the same way, we cannot abdicate and retreat as the elites. We must take a stand as the elites based on our knowledge. When you go to the village and people want an opinion, they will say, our son is from Makerere. What do you think? But now when it comes to voting, it is the most vigilant people are the people who can be bribed with sugar, can be bribed with 500 shillings, and they are determining the future of this country. So the politics we need is also you who wear ties. Stop being dead statistics on the voters' roll. The lowest turn-up is on Summit View, Bugolobi, Ntinda, where the elites live. Now these so-called ordinary people are the ones shaping the future, because they are shaping who becomes Lord Mayor, who becomes MP, who becomes president, and until we people realize that we have a responsibility, then we cannot do much. Let me end with this. I agree with Issa Sekito that the government in fighting inflation has applied a medicine whose side effect is worse than the very disease the medicine is intended to treat. Because unemployment is going to turn Uganda into a powder keg. Let me tell you, I launched Walk to Work in Gulu, and after remembering the 20 years of war, I had to come back to Kampala and rethink. Because those boys captured 3 guns from the army. Those boys even killed 2 soldiers, and they will not tell you, UPDF will not tell you. They told me, Norbert Mao, you shouldn't have gone on radio to tell us to stop the violence. This thing must be sorted out once and for all. Now, the more you have a population which has nothing to lose, all these people building these towers are going to run. So the political solution is a minimum consensus. We need to sit together in a spirit of give and take. Whether it is going to take us a transitional arrangement for 5 years, it doesn't matter who we declare as the symbol of that transition. Even I, Norbert Mao, I don't have to be the president in 2016. If Ugandans agree that there is somebody who can make us cross these stormy waters, and we have new rules of engagement. Anyway, I have a detailed plan, and I'll share it with some of you, because Uganda needs a man with a plan, and I am the man with a plan. Issa Sekito. In cowboy movies, you have someone who comes as an outlaw, with a pistol. He's escorted by heavily armed people. He enters a sleepy town of ordinary citizens going about their business. He goes into a barber shop, shoots dead a hard-working citizen, and the residents gather and complain. Then he says, yes, after spitting on the ground. So what are you going to do about it? That's the question all these people are telling us. That's what Agaba is telling Kampala people. I've shot you dead. What are you going to do about it? Mutebile and Museveni is telling Kasita, I am only reducing by 1%. What are you going to do about it? The bank is saying you are going to pay 50%. So what are you going to do about it? You, the NGOs, you are being threatened with being shut down. Even Accord is in danger. They are threatening Accord because Accord is creating a forum where these kind of views are aired. You are being threatened. So what are you going to do about it? So the question to Ugandans is clear. Whoever is stealing your money, whoever is raiding the treasury, whoever is diverting the oil funds, he's simply thumbing his nose at you and said, yes, you know I'm wrong, I've broken the law, but what are you going to do about it? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman Mao. Well, I just want to give Ronald an opportunity if he has something to say. Do you? Ronald Kagwa. Yes. In 3 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Randy Kagwa, I work in government, and I'm speaking after very robust speakers. Mr. Chairman, my submission here is that all that we are saying is that we need to raise production as a country. Our output as a country is very, very low. If you survey us here, what is our output per capita as individuals here, gathered here? What can we say that we contributed last year in terms of real output? And in looking at the question of output or production, we need to look at ourselves and say, does it pay to produce in this country? Are the people who are well off also the highest producers? So the question of interest rates, inflation and all that, we need to tackle the question of production. If you look at China today, China has a province of China produces more than the whole of East Africa combined. What is the miracle they have done to produce? What is the economic framework, economic environment that encourages, production? We need to reestablish the rural economy as a country, the rural economy, where most of our people live. The rural economy in this country has gone down. So we need an incentive framework that can revive the home-based industries, the small-scale industries. We need agricultural banks, cooperative banks. Those are the institutions that will raise production, and the factors of interest rates